Are you an MBA student who thinks their degree is their guaranteed ticket to a corner office and a massive pay bump? If so, you're not alone, but you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. Executive MBA could be the best big money you ever spend, or the most expensive mistake of your career. Today, I'm exposing the 5 myths that turn a smart investment into career regret, starting with the #1 reason people actually sign up. Let's dive in. The Executive MBA has this whole mystique around it. Everyone sees it as the power move for experienced leaders who want to level up without stepping off the career track. And for the right person, it absolutely is. But here's what kills me. I've seen many talented professionals dive into an Executive MBA for all the wrong reasons. They see those big school names, Wharton, Columbia, Cornell, and they think the degree itself is some magic wand that just grants promotions and that corner office. The reality? It's way more complicated than that. An Executive MBA isn't a product you just buy off the shelf. It's a high-performance tool you've got to learn how to use. Walk in with the wrong expectations, and you're setting yourself up for some serious disappointment and a very expensive lesson. So let's break down the 5 biggest myths about the Executive MBA so you can figure out if it's actually the right move for you, your career, and your bank account. Okay, so let's tackle the biggest myth right out of the gate, that an Executive MBA automatically means a massive pay bump and a reserved seat in the C-suite. Look, the brochures are glossy for a reason, right? They showcase these impressive stats, and yeah, it's true that many graduates see their careers take off. In fact, the Executive MBA Council even reports that students often get salary boosts and promotions while they're still in the program. But here's the catch you can't afford to ignore. The degree doesn't give you those things. It just creates the opportunity for you to go out and get them for yourself. Think of it like this. An Executive MBA is a membership to an elite gym. Just paying the fee and having the card in your wallet does nothing for your health. You've got to show up, do the work, use the equipment, and push yourself. The people who get the best ROI, they're actively applying what they learn. They take a framework from Saturday's strategy class and they're building a proposal for their boss with it on Monday morning. They use a lesson from finance class to find a new cost-saving opportunity for their department. They don't wait for graduation to start creating value. For example, after learning about the importance of team dynamics in my managing and leading organizations class, I set up a meeting with my team where we explicitly discussed each person's role and how that related to others on the team. This shed light on so many blind spots people had and even relieved some tensions I wasn't aware of. The result was that my team operated at a higher level and had a new appreciation for each other's remit. Executive MBA can absolutely accelerate your career, but it's not a vending machine where you put a tuition in and a promotion pops out. Now, here's where it gets interesting because the next myth actually stops qualified people from even applying. Let me explain. So, this one drives me nuts because it's one of the most stubborn and misleading myths out there. People will tell you that if you want to switch career, change your industry or your job function, you have to get a full-time MBA. The thinking is that Executive MBAs are only for people who want to climb the ladder where they already are. Now look, it's true that full-time programs have this very structured on-campus recruiting machine built for career pivots. But it's completely false that you can't make a major change with an Executive MBA. It just requires a totally different game plan. Here's the deal. Recruiters at full-time programs are looking for people to fill associate level and post-MBA rotational roles. Executive MBA students with 10, 15, or even 20 years of experience, they're usually way too senior for those jobs. So recruiters don't show up in the same way because they assume most of the class is happy where they are. This means if you want to make a change, the ball's in your court. You've got to be the CEO of your own job search. That means relentlessly networking with alumni and, most importantly, tapping into your own classmates who are already established leaders across dozens of industries. I've seen a number of people in my own class pull off incredible career changes with an executive MBA. They just understood they had to build their own bridge, not wait for someone to build it for them. But wait, because this next myth is probably costing people thousands of dollars in wasted tuition. Stay with me. There's this quiet nagging suspicion some people have about the executive MBA, that because it's part-time for busy people, it must be some kind of watered down version of the real thing. And I gotta say, that's total BS. In any top executive MBA program, you're being taught by the very same world-class professors as the full-time students. You're tackling the same exact core curriculum: finance, marketing, strategy, all of it. The academic rigor is just as high and the exams are just as hard. Actually, you could argue the program is harder because you're juggling all of that with a demanding job and a family. In fact, I had professors tell me that they actually enjoyed teaching the executive MBA classes more than the full-time because the conversations were so much more insightful. This gave them the extra energy to run with us as we looked for ways to grow our careers. This meant making introductions to their colleagues or inviting us to private networking events. The only real difference is the format and the focus. Classes are on weekends or in week-long modules to fit a professional schedule, and the learning is way more applied. A full-time class might discuss a case study about some company you've never heard of, but in an executive MBA class, the discussion is about the real-world challenges you and your classmates are literally facing that week at your jobs. At graduation, the degree you receive says Master's of Business Administration, the same degree the full-time grads get. While some schools might specify executive on the diploma or transcript, most top programs confer the same MBA degree title. All right, we've busted 3 myths. But this next one, it completely changes how you should think about the executive MBA's biggest advantage. This myth suggests that because you aren't living on campus 24/7, you might miss out on the deep connections that define the full-time MBA experience. The style of networking is definitely different, but calling it weaker, that completely misses the executive MBA's biggest strength. Here's what I mean. In a full-time program, you're networking with bright, ambitious people at the start of their big careers. They're your future peers, which is amazing. But in an executive MBA program, you're networking with current leaders. Your study group isn't made up of junior analysts. It's made up of directors, VPs, surgeons, and entrepreneurs who are already running companies, controlling budgets, and hiring people. The group is smaller, more senior, and the connections are often deeper because you're all grappling with similar high-stake challenges. This creates an immediate, powerful bond. You're not just building a network for someday. You're getting a board of peer advisors you can call tomorrow. The network isn't weaker, it's just more senior. And for many people, that makes it infinitely more powerful. All right, so this last myth, it's the one that makes people think they can just coast into a top program, which is a big mistake. This idea comes from the fact that executive MBA programs don't obsess over GMAT or GRE scores the way full-time programs do. So some people think it's the easy backdoor into a top business school. That's a dangerous way to think about it. Executive MBA admissions aren't less competitive. They're competitive on different things. A full-time program might forgive limited work experience if you have a killer GMAT score and GPA. An executive MBA program, it's the exact opposite. They're looking for a track record of serious leadership and professional impact. The admissions committee is trying to build a class of seasoned leaders. They're looking at your career progression, your leadership trajectory, and what you're going to contribute to classroom discussions. When the average experience in the room is 10 to 15 years, the bar for what you've accomplished is incredibly high. They aren't just asking, can you handle the work? They're asking, are you a true peer to the other senior executives in the room? I wouldn't say it's an easier path, but it is a different path, one that judges you on your entire career, not just a few stats from your early 20s. So after all that, who should actually be getting an Executive MBA? Here's the thing. It's for proven professionals who want to hit the accelerator on their career. You're already on a good track, but you want that 30,000-foot strategic view that prepares you for top leadership roles. It's also for the leader who learns by doing. You're the person who wants to learn a concept on Saturday and be testing it out at work on Monday. The immediate feedback loop between learning and applying, that's where the magic happens. If you're thinking about an Executive MBA, make sure you're going in with your eyes wide open. It can absolutely be a game changer, but only if you understand what it actually is and what it requires from you. Now, here's the thing. Knowing whether an Executive MBA is right for you is step one, but once you decide to apply, you need to nail your application essay, because that's where most qualified candidates actually lose their spot. The admissions committee isn't just looking at your resume, they're looking for the story behind the resume. And that's exactly what I break down in my MBA essay video. I expose the 3 fatal mistakes that kill even the strongest applications, mistakes that are invisible to you, but glaringly obvious to admissions committees. Check it out right here. And remember, you've got this. I'll see you in the next video.